8 killed in road accidents last week. Kaider News reports that 8 people lost their lives in separate road accidents last week, adding to 5 fatalities from the previous week. Among the deceased are a married couple, 39-year-old Shane Tyndall and 35-year-old Shabika Gordon, 32-year-old pedal cyclist Karen DeFreitas, 19-year-old Annalisa Smith, 18-year-old Davinan Bernard, 28-year-old Ryan Alfonso, 62-year-old Leon Marks, and an unidentified pedestrian. The recent fatalities highlight the alarming rise in deadly accidents on the roadways. On Friday alone, 3 separate accidents resulted in the deaths of DeFreitas, Bernard, Alfonso, Marks, and a pedestrian. Police reported that DeFreitas was killed in a collision with a truck in the Hill Foot area on the Linden-Soesdijk Highway at approximately 18:45 hours. Investigations revealed that the truck was overtaking DeFreitas when the front left portion struck him, causing him to fall onto the roadway. The truck then rolled over him and his bicycle. He was rushed to the Diamond Diagnostic Center, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. In a second accident on the Essequibo coast, 2 motorcycles collided with a car, resulting in the deaths of Bernard, Alfonso, and Marks. The driver of the car, a 69-year-old farmer, stated that bright lights from an oncoming motorcycle impaired his visibility, leading to the collision. Marks and Bernard died at the scene, while Alfonso succumbed to his injuries later in the ICU at Suddy Public Hospital. A third fatality occurred at Baggotstown, East Bank Demerara, EBD, when a truck struck a pedestrian. The truck, owned by Tulsi Persad Limited, collided with a male pedestrian attempting to cross the road. The pedestrian's legs were crushed, and he was pronounced dead at the Diamond Diagnostic Center. Last Thursday, Tyndall and Gordon were killed when their vehicle collided with a concrete rail and flipped multiple times at Eccles, East Bank Demerara. They were pinned inside the car until freed by bystanders but were pronounced dead at the scene. On Wednesday, 19-year-old Annalisa Smith died after the car she was in crashed into a utility pole at the Burbus River Bridge access road. The driver, 21-year-old Clifton Smith, lost control of the vehicle, leading to the fatal accident. Smith was pronounced dead at the New Amsterdam Public Hospital, while other occupants received treatment for their injuries. In light of the increasing public concern over road fatalities and reckless driving, President Irfan Ali indicated potential amendments to Guyana's traffic laws to address what he termed lawlessness on the roadways. He emphasized the need for societal responsibility in curbing reckless driving and called for a holistic approach that includes enforcement, education, infrastructure development, and accountability. Narcotic seizure. Baggotstown taxi driver arrested at Ogle Airport. At approximately 9:40 hours today, Monday, 2 police officers on duty at JAG's aviation hangar at the Eugene Correa International Airport in Ogle, East Coast Demerara, arrested Daquan Charles, a 27-year-old taxi driver from the Baggotstown squatting area, East Bank Demerara. He was found in possession of several packages containing marijuana. At the time of his arrest, Charles had 2 boxes of Triscuit crackers, 1 bag of Purina dog chow, and a bag of bird seeds. Upon inspection, the officers discovered 3 transparent plastic parcels and 2 Ziploc bags labeled Snowman and Lemonade hidden within the boxes and dog chow, all containing leaves, seeds, and stems believed to be cannabis. Daquan was informed of the alleged offense, placed under arrest, and cautioned. He immediately stated that an individual named Akeem had given him the packages and instructed him to send them on the Comarong flight. He was subsequently taken to the narcotics branch at CID headquarters, Eve Leary. Upon arrival, the narcotics were weighed in his presence, totaling 2.90 pounds, 1.315 kilograms. Daquan Charles remains in custody as the investigation continues. "18 persons left homeless after fire in Meadowbrook Gardens. 18 individuals, including 7 children, are now seeking assistance after a fire of unknown origin destroyed their home in Meadowbrook Gardens, Georgetown, on Sunday night. The blaze erupted around 18:55 hours, completely engulfing the house located at Lot 8 Bamboo Drive. The property was owned by George Reed and his wife, Barbara. At the scene, Barbara Reed recounted her shock upon learning of the fire while she was working as a vendor. "Somebody told me the house was on fire. By the time I came down, I saw the entire building engulfed," she said. 3 occupants were trapped inside the house but were successfully rescued. "We have lived here for about 48 years. All the children and grandchildren were born here," Barbara added, reflecting on the family's long history in the home. The Guyana Fire Service was alerted, and 3 fire tenders were dispatched to the scene. However, by the time they arrived, the entire building was already consumed by flames. It is believed that the fire originated from a mattress in one of the bedrooms. "My big son said that he saw a mattress ablaze," Barbara recounted. An investigation has been launched to determine the exact cause of the fire. Barbara expressed gratitude to the fire service for their efforts, stating, "They did a good job in containing the flames from spreading, which could have led to a disaster for other families since the houses are very close." The displaced occupants are currently seeking shelter with friends and relatives as they navigate this challenging time. They are reaching out for public assistance to help them rebuild their lives. Anyone wishing to assist the family can contact them at the following telephone numbers: 681-0056, 679-3504, or 672-1039. Security guard granted bail for attempted murder charge. Guyana Times. A 34-year-old security guard, David Pierre Jr., was granted bail after being previously remanded for attempted murder. He appeared virtually before Principal Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Friday. Pierre, who resides in Cummings Lodge, East Coast Demerara, ECD, is charged with wounding Anand Ramkissoon on December 30, 2024, at Alexander Street, Georgetown, with intent to commit murder while accompanied by another individual. During his initial appearance on January 4th, the court heard that police had obtained video footage allegedly showing Pierre committing the act. Reports indicated that he admitted during an interview to having chopped Ramkissoon. However, Pierre contended that the footage was incomplete and did not capture how the incident began, asserting that he had also been chopped multiple times and acted in self-defense. At that time, the prosecution strongly objected to bail, emphasizing the seriousness of the charge and noting that Ramkissoon remained in critical condition. Consequently, bail was denied, and Pierre was remanded to prison. In his most recent court appearance, Pierre was granted bail in the sum of $250,000. He requested a reduction in the bail amount, arguing his inability to afford it, but Magistrate McGusty denied his request, citing the nature of the charge as the reason for maintaining the bail amount. David Pierre Jr. is scheduled to return to court on April 4, 2025, as the case continues. Man granted bail after months in custody for phone theft. After spending more than 2 months in custody, 25-year-old Alcline McCollin of Rahamon Street, Plaisance, East Coast Demerara, ECD, has been granted bail. McCollin, who was jointly charged with 22-year-old Leon Harris of Meadowbank squatting area for simple larceny, was placed on $150,000 bail when he appeared before Principal Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Friday. The duo was accused of stealing a Samsung Galaxy S24 from Bibi Hussein and an iPhone 6s belonging to Amanda Williams on December 11, 2024, along Water and Longdon Street, Georgetown. According to police reports, the phones were snatched from the victims at separate locations before the suspects fled. Investigators later retrieved one of the stolen devices, which was secured as evidence. During the initial hearing, McCollin pleaded not guilty to both charges, while Harris admitted to stealing one of the phones but denied involvement in the theft of the second. Harris informed the court that he suffers from mental health issues, claiming that his condition impaired his ability to make sound decisions at the time of the incident. He also mentioned personal struggles, including family issues and difficulties in providing for his 3-year-old daughter. As a result, Harris was sentenced to 2 years in prison, while McCollin remained on remand. At Friday's hearing, McCollin's attorney, Jermaine Jarvis, petitioned for his client's release, emphasizing that McCollin had been in custody since December 13 and had been seeking bail since last year. Jarvis requested reasonable bail, assuring the court that McCollin would comply with all conditions set by the court. The prosecution requested additional time before proceeding with the case, prompting the magistrate to assess the circumstances surrounding the matter. After considering both sides, McCollin was granted bail in the sum of $150,000. Although McCollin has now been released on bail, the case remains ongoing, with the next hearing scheduled for April 11th for further proceedings. Mandela Avenue fatal accident. Man pays $1 million compensation, DPP to determine if case to be withdrawn. The legal proceedings surrounding the 2024 fatal accident on Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, took a significant turn on Friday when 22-year-old electrician Chris Sobers petitioned the court to have his $300,000 bail redirected as partial payment toward a $1 million compensation agreement with the estate of Edward Solomon, the 28-year-old motorcyclist who died following the accident. Appearing before Chief AG Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, Sobers renewed his request to apply the bail sum toward his compensation commitment, leaving him with only $300,000 outstanding. However, Magistrate McGusty explained that for such an arrangement to be approved, the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, would have to agree to withdraw the case. Once the case is withdrawn, the bail money would be refunded, allowing Sobers to use it for compensation. The DPP's office must first decide whether the matter will be discontinued. In light of this requirement, Sobers agreed to pay the full $500,000 balance out of pocket. In the presence of his legal representatives and family members, he compensated Solomon's estate with the remaining amount while in court. Sobers' decision to compensate the family stems from an accident that occurred on April 4, 2024, when he was driving motorcar PAF 4593 along Mandela Avenue. Investigators reported that he made a left turn onto Freeman Street without ensuring the way was clear, colliding with motorcycle CJ 9016, which was driven by Solomon. Both men sustained serious injuries and were taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital, GPHC, for treatment. Although Solomon was initially discharged, he was readmitted on May 28, 2024, after experiencing complications and ultimately succumbed to his injuries on May 30, 2024. Following Solomon's death, Sobers was charged with causing death by dangerous driving and was granted $300,000 bail during his first court appearance in June 2024. One of his bail conditions required him to report to the Caneville Grove Police Station on the first Friday of each month. With the full $1 million compensation now paid, the matter is expected to proceed as the DPP determines whether the case will be withdrawn. The magistrate has scheduled the next hearing for March 21, when statements will be presented. Investigation underway in fatal motorcycle accident on Marudi Trail. Police are investigating a fatal incident that occurred today, Monday, March 3, 2025, between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock hours on the Marudi Trail, resulting in the death of Devin Williams, a 24-year-old motorcyclist from Ishelton Village, Deep South Rupununi, Region No. 9. At approximately 1 o'clock hours, Williams was riding with his girlfriend along the Marudi Trail when he dropped her off at her camp. He then left to pick up his stepson, during which he allegedly fell onto the road surface, sustaining injuries to his head and body. Around 4 o'clock hours, a public-spirited citizen found Williams and took him to the Ishelton District Hospital. Upon arrival, he was examined by a doctor who treated his injuries and immediately referred him to the Lethem Regional Hospital. He was transported via ambulance for further care. At approximately 13:30 hours, upon arrival at Lethem Hospital, Williams was re-examined by the on-duty doctor for his head injuries. Tragically, he was pronounced dead while receiving treatment. His body is currently at the Lethem Regional Hospital's mortuary, awaiting a post-mortem examination. Investigations into the incident are ongoing. Charlestown man remanded after allegedly threatening woman with knife and scissors. A 27-year-old Charlestown resident, Joshua Pereira, was remanded to prison after appearing before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Friday. Pereira faces charges for threatening behavior against Guyana Fowler on February 22, 2025, at Kedley Street, Charlestown, Georgetown. He pleaded guilty to the charge. During the proceedings, Fowler recounted that although she knew Pereira from their youth, they were not friends and had no personal relationship. On the day in question, she was walking when Pereira approached her, brandishing scissors in a threatening manner. Fearful for her life, she panicked, prompting nearby individuals to flee in alarm. Fowler emphasized that this was not the first time Pereira had acted similarly, stating, "I could have been dead." As Fowler recounted the events, Pereira interrupted, loudly protesting, "Your worship, I don't know what this girl is talking about." He attempted to deflect blame, claiming someone had robbed him and stolen his gold chain, which contradicted the allegations against him. Fowler further informed the court that Pereira continued to threaten her even at the police station. The prosecution objected to bail, arguing that Pereira posed a serious danger to the public. They noted his previous threats, including an incident where he pointed scissors at another man, indicating that Fowler was simply a random target. Additionally, the prosecution revealed that Pereira has pending robbery matters before other courts. His criminal history includes a 2021 charge for attempted murder after allegedly stabbing a man over a $3,000 debt. The incident escalated when Pereira confronted Anthony Rampal about the money owed, resulting in multiple stab wounds to Rampal, who was hospitalized. In 2020, Pereira was charged with armed robbery, accused of robbing a woman at knife point, stealing over $300,000 in cash and valuables. Given Pereira's violent history and his proximity to Fowler's residence, Magistrate McGusty ruled that granting bail would pose a significant risk to public safety and the victim's well-being. Consequently, bail was denied, and Pereira was remanded to prison. His next court appearance is scheduled for March 5, 2025. Hundreds of housing units under construction nationwide. Hundreds of housing units across various income categories are at different stages of completion in several housing schemes nationwide, aimed at providing a more stable and secure environment for families. This was highlighted by Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, during a housing outreach event last Friday at the Tacuba Lodge compound in Anna Regina, Region 2. These housing units are currently under construction in Bartica, Palmyra, Cummings Lodge, Fort Ordnance, and Williamsburg/Hampshire. Since 2020, the government has initiated construction on 3,800 housing units, with 2,100 of those completed and handed over to beneficiaries. Over the past 4.5 years, nearly $12.5 billion has been invested to complete more than 1,865 houses along the coast. In 2024 alone, $4.3 billion was allocated for housing, resulting in the completion of over 550 units. The housing initiative is supported by deliberate government policies designed to make homeownership more affordable and accessible for ordinary Guyanese. These policies include reduced interest rates, a steel and cement subsidy program, and an increased mortgage interest relief ceiling. Many of our people have been able to purchase housing units at significantly reduced costs. If you were to build one of those low-income houses on your own, it would cost you much more, Minister Rodriguez explained. To date, the government has distributed over 41,000 lots to individuals from various income brackets, in line with its target of 50,000 house lots for this year. The government aims to accelerate its housing program in 2025 with a budgetary allocation of $112.6 billion. This funding will facilitate the allocation of more than 25,000 house lots to Guyanese and the development of over 20 housing schemes nationwide. The ministry is also collaborating with the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission, Guyana Sugar Corporation, and other agencies to acquire additional land. Our housing program is about delivering real results. It's not just about fulfilling our manifesto commitments, which are important to us. We want to ensure that all the promises we make are achieved. We haven't stopped there, we haven't limited ourselves, she affirmed. From bottom house to the international arena, Corporal Nigel Bryan's journey to sporting excellence. Where childhood games turned into lifelong passions, young Nigel Bryan found himself rallying a table tennis ball under his family's bottom house. What began as a pastime with friends and relatives quickly transformed into a fervent passion, enabling him to achieve international championships and earn an 8-week sports scholarship at Jain University in India, courtesy of the Ministry of Culture, Youth, and Sports. The 32-year-old corporal, enlisted in the Guyana police force in 2011, has mastered the art of balancing duty and ambition. Currently stationed at the Central Immigration and Passport Office and attached to the Chetty Jugan International Airport, Bryan is not just a uniformed officer. He is also a dedicated table tennis coach, a 3-time national men's champion, and a respected athlete whose name is etched in Guyana's sports history. Bryan's love for table tennis took root early in his life. His years at Gamaliel Academy solidified his dedication to the sport under the mentorship of his physical education teacher, Mr. Muni Ram Prasad. In 2006, at his first international competition in Trinidad and Tobago, Bryan claimed a championship title victory, marking the beginning of an illustrious career that offered him opportunities to travel the world. He has proudly represented Guyana in various countries, including Australia, China, Colombia, Europe, and throughout the Caribbean. Over the past 14 years, Corporal Bryan has held the national record as the youngest national men's champion in Guyana. His career highlights include participation in major events such as the Commonwealth Games, CARICOM tournaments, and the Ireland Games. Juggling the responsibilities of a police officer and a national athlete is no easy feat, but for Bryan, the key lies in time management and dedication. "I use most of my leisure time for training," he shared, emphasizing that discipline keeps him at the top of his game. His selection for the Jain University Sports Scholarship is the culmination of years of hard work, perseverance, and exemplary performance. However, beyond personal achievement, he views this opportunity as a chance to inspire and uplift young athletes. His goal is to keep table tennis alive within the Guyana police force and the nation at large, using his experience, skills, and knowledge to mentor the next generation. Corporal Bryan has one simple yet powerful message for anyone aspiring to follow in his footsteps: believe in achieving your goals and ensure you motivate yourself. Corporal Nigel Bryan departed Guyana on February 28, 2025, to embark on this exciting chapter in his career, expanding his knowledge and abilities in the sport he loves. His story is one of national pride and personal success, demonstrating that with hard work and self-belief, anything is possible. Ruling on banker's book application in Calvin Brutus case set for March 11. Guyana Times. The legal battle involving former Assistant Commissioner of Police, ACP, Calvin Brutus took another turn on Friday, as Principal Magistrate Faith McGusty announced that she will rule on the prosecution's request to access Brutus's financial records on March 11 at 9 a.m. The request, made under Section 12 of the Evidence Act, commonly referred to as a banker's book order, seeks access to Brutus's accounts at Demerara Bank Limited. The prosecution argues that these records are critical to the ongoing case, which involves numerous charges related to financial misconduct. Brutus, a former high-ranking official in the Guyana Police Force, GPF, has faced legal troubles since an internal audit in July 2024 uncovered alleged financial irregularities. These findings led to a full-scale investigation, resulting in formal charges against him by October 2024. The initial charges included money laundering, obtaining money by false pretenses, misconduct in public office, and larceny by a public official. His wife, Alder Brutus, and Police Sergeant Kevin George were also implicated and faced money laundering charges. The court granted bail to the trio, requiring Brutus to post GYD 6.2 million, his wife GYD 1 million, and George GYD 500,000. A condition of their bail was that they report to the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, on the second Friday of each month. As the investigation progressed, prosecutors added 201 more charges against Brutus in November 2024, increasing his total to 231. This led to a GYD 10.05 million increase in his bail amount. In December, prosecutors accused Brutus of attempting to flee the country via Brazil, violating a court order that prohibited him from leaving Guyana. This prompted the prosecution to file an application to revoke his bail, which the defense strongly opposed, setting the stage for further legal battles. Amid his legal troubles, Brutus also faced disciplinary proceedings within the Police Service Commission, PSC. The tribunal examined allegations of unauthorized use of the GPF's welfare fund and falsification of records. The tribunal found that Brutus had unlawfully directed payments totaling GYD 13,670,204 from the welfare fund and had falsified records related to goods valued at GYD 101,431,050. Based on the tribunal's findings, the PSC recommended Brutus's dismissal from the force, which occurred on February 5, 2025. Despite his dismissal, the legal proceedings against him continue. At the recent court hearing, Brutus's attorneys, led by Dominic Bess and UC Anderson, opposed the prosecution's request for his bank records, arguing it would violate his privacy and potentially prejudice the case. The prosecution countered, asserting that the records were crucial for proving the financial transactions linked to the charges. After hearing arguments from both sides, Magistrate McGusty deferred her ruling to allow the prosecution time to respond. During the hearing, the prosecution raised concerns about Brutus's compliance with his bail conditions, claiming he had failed to report to SOCU as required. In response, the defense presented video evidence showing that Brutus and his co-defendants had indeed reported on the specified dates, although they faced long waiting times and access issues. Magistrate McGusty acknowledged these concerns and instructed court officials to investigate the matter. Another contentious issue involved the seizure of Kevin George's vehicle, which was reportedly taken with a significant amount of cash inside. The defense questioned the legality of the seizure, while the prosecution maintained that the cash was part of the broader investigation. The next court appearance for Brutus, George, and two other defendants, Sergeant Latoya Brummel and businessman Corwin Nicholson, is scheduled for March 6. The ruling on the banker's book application for Brutus and Nicholson is set for March 11. If the prosecution gains access to Brutus's financial records, it could serve as crucial evidence in establishing the alleged financial crimes. Conversely, a ruling against the application could weaken the prosecution's case. As the situation unfolds, the legal battles surrounding Brutus and his co-accused remain in the public spotlight, with significant implications for the credibility of the GPF and the broader justice system. PNCR heavyweight Amna Ally resigns days after Vanessa Kissoon calls for resignation of Norton and executive team. Newsroom. Amna Ally, a prominent figure in the main opposition People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, has tendered her resignation from the party. In her resignation letter to party leader Aubrey Norton, Ally expressed deep regret and highlighted a continuous disregard for women within the organization. Ally confirmed her decision in a telephone call with the newsroom on Sunday night. Her departure follows the resignation of longtime member Vanessa Kissoon, who cited personal reasons for her exit. In her letter, Ally called for the resignation of Norton and his executive team to help salvage the party's future. She articulated her concerns about the treatment of women within the PNCR, stating, "The continuous disregard for women, who are the backbone of this great party, has been overwhelming." Ally recalled a curse-out and shameful act directed at prominent female party members, including Kissoon, Linden Mayor Sharma Solomon, and Elder Cheryl Sampson. This incident reportedly occurred in the presence of the party's General Secretary during a forum organized by the National Congress of Women, NCW, at Congress Place. The disgraceful conduct of women and men closely associated with party leader Aubrey Norton brought shame and disgrace to the party, Ally noted. She emphasized that this behavior went unchallenged, despite taking place in a forum aimed at enhancing the involvement and service of women in the party. Ally suggested that the disruption was intended to destabilize the event. Expressing her dismay at the current leadership, Ally stated that senior women in the party had voiced their disgust both privately and publicly. "It hurts, but I cannot continue to support such a party under the current leadership of Aubrey Compton Norton and his entire executive," she said. "They should hang their heads in shame and resign." Ally reiterated her belief that the PNCR, under Norton's leadership, no longer reflects the values she holds dear, particularly regarding the role of women. "I cannot support a party that disrespects the role played by women, who have always been the backbone of the PNCR, she declared. "Let the drums roll," Ally concluded in her letter.